protect queer art. You feel me? I mean, like if you take nothing else from this movie or discussion away, I was gonna say review. These aren't reviews. If you take anything away from this discussion, it's to appreciate the queer mind and its creativity. Yo, what's up and welcome back. Yes, back to Angels Reach as always. I'm Angel, and today it's Film Friday, baby. Now, last week we discussed Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Had a lot of fun watching that. But if you want to talk about having fun, this movie right here is. I mean, it's kind of the one. Now, Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, directed by one Jane Schoenbrunn. I'm gonna have to learn how to pronounce that because I might just have to keep watching their movies. This is amazing, dude. Now, this is a horror slasher film. And the premise of it is essentially there's this one queer filmmaker named Chris who is the directed to work on the reboot of this franchise called Camp Miasma. And the relevance of her working on it is it was sort of her like sexual awakening. And in a way, it helped her sort of learn to disassociate or like learn. It's really it's like to get into like the specifics and the messages of it and everything. It's like a little bit much, honestly. Like I feel like I'm gonna just like give you like a simple baseline of it. Essentially, this queer filmmaker Chris is assigned a task to reboot this franchise, make the last or maybe another. It seems to be the last movie of the franchise, but maybe just another reboot of the franchise of this slasher horror cheesy campy movie. And so she's sent on this sort of or she meets the star of like the prequels or like the oh my god the original movies, because it's sort of shown throughout the movie that Camp Miasma was initially like this really successful slasher horror film for like the first few movies, and then eventually it got stretched out, and then obviously as like more like sequels kept coming out, less attention or maybe less care was put into the movies, and so it sort of became like this like gimmicky sort of franchise that keeps coming back. And a ton of fucking movies nowadays. But so like the with the newest reboot, they the filmmakers, I guess, or the creators behind her, the people in charge of the movie and the franchise or whatever, set out Chris, this queer filmmaker, to reboot it. And she is super passionate about this movie because it's a movie and a franchise that she cares deeply about. You sort of learn later on why this franchise means so much to her: the passion, the heat, the intensity, the sort of the vulnerability, the sort of sexual even fantasies that the corny gimmicky sexual fantasies that Chris, the filmmaker, the soon to be director of the franchise or the franchise reboot movie, sort of is experiencing and is feeling even before she is meant to like direct the movie and everything like that. So the primary meat and potatoes of the movie is Chris meeting with the main star of the original movie, one Billy Presley, played by Gillian Anderson. Chris Williams, the director of the not the actual movie, the movie within the movie, is named Chris Williams. So Billy Presley is the star of Camp Miasma, like the original one or three, maybe the original couple, maybe just the first one. And then after a while, she stopped being a part of the franchise, and you learn later on, sorry spoilers, I mean all of this is really a discussion, it's not really much of a review, it's me talking about the movies, really like having a discussion with whoever like is watching these. But the whole meat and potatoes of is Chris meeting Billy, the star of the movie, of the original ones, and sort of discussing how Chris is going to tackle this sequel. And the meat and potato, I gotta stop. I'm thinking of Brand New Day, dude. Small potatoes, big potatoes. No, but like the primary sort of the plot of it is Chris slowly coming to understand that Billy is not a part of the franchise for a reason. It's because this slasher horror film is actually much more real and deeper than what people realize. And now granted, this movie took like a pretty campy and unreal, kind of like really creative and odd turn at the end. I sort of started to like question if it was actually happening or not, just because of how ridiculous it turned to. It like so Camp Miasma, the franchise that Chris, the director, is so in love with, the primary villain of the whole thing is this character called Little Death, like a person with like a vent as a head, and they hold like a spear. They come up from the lake, and then they kill a bunch of the camp members. Funnily enough, the main character of the movie, Billy, she still lives on the campgrounds. And so when Chris goes to visit her to discuss the reboot of the franchise, that's when she actually learns how serious this thing is, and that Camp Miasma and Little Death are not actually just like movies. They're real things. They're real like horror elements that live in the campgrounds that come to life and claim actual victims. And um uh it somehow that just ends up turning into a movie, I believe. And there's this really cool and sick like CGI like animated sequence at the end. And honestly, all the visuals in the movie were kind of really fun. There's actually a lot of creative liberties that they take. Like for example, like one of the set, like a lot of times the settings were beautiful landscapes, but sometimes they were just like a painted wall. You could clearly tell it's like a set, a painted wall, and like just houses around. And it added a lot to like the what's it called, the fantasy element of it all. You sort of were like taken out of it and then put right back into it. It was really cool. But the whole premise of the movie is that Little Death is actually real, and he comes to life, and he's like attacking he starts attacking the people in Chris's life. For some reason they all sort of come to meet Chris, both Chris's partner and then their partner's partner, because they're in a polyamorous relationship. Dude, there's just a lot of really fun elements to this movie. But what the whole movie is about essentially is like like the director, the filmmaker Chris, sort of understanding their sexuality and like really playing into it. Essentially, it's really just fun. It's really lighthearted. I thought for a moment that it was going to be like this old generation not understanding the new generation of like queer people and stuff like that. And there are moments like that where Billy is like like not understanding where Chris is coming from. There's a part where she's like, oh no, like me and my partner were Polly, and then she's like, ah, Polly, I don't know her, or something like that, like a really dumb corny like throwaway line or whatever. But yeah. The film has absolutely no problem being campy. Obviously, it's like based on like campy slasher horror film. So like, there's a really sick sequence where Little Death, the main antagonist of both the movie and the movie within the movie, comes to life and starts stabbing everybody at the end. And Chris finally gets to live out her like fantasy of like being this gimpy girl running away, like the sexy like helpless girl running in the horror movie and stuff. And Billy helps her understand that like that's like a part of it as well. But when Chris understands like how deep this like lore goes and like how serious it is, Billy then explains like why she isn't a part of the series anymore. And it's because when well, actually, Billy explains that there's a certain look in her eye, and Chris understands that like that look in her eye is what makes Camp Miasma. That um sort of je ne sais quoi. Like you find out later that it's like sort of the life leaving Billy's eyes because she gets her innocence taken in the movie, and it's real. And so the reason the filmmaker sort of the reason Chris like relates to this movie so much is because she felt the innocence leaving her. She could like, it translates to the screen. I mean, it's real. So like when you're actually seeing something like happen like that, I mean, like God knows how fucking life changing and crazy it is to see something like that, or like to see someone's life leave their eyes. Like it's insane. It's insane, obviously. And so when Billy finally manages to get that through Chris's head, that like the reason that the movie is so potent and lively, and the reason Chris like probably loves it as much as it is and can connect to it as much as she can, is because it's real. And it's not movie magic or whatever. Chris sort of I guess in a way, like her world kind of breaks down, because after like the realization that it's not like a movie, and that like Billy actually was sexually assaulted by somebody on the film, on the, or raped, taken, like her, got her virginity, what the hell, virginity stolen by the main character of that movie or whatever, which I'm kind of still shaky on. Like it's implied that everything is real, but I don't know. I don't know, because like then they talk about like actors going on and like directors and strikes and stuff like that. Maybe not strikes, but like the I don't know, the whole like production aspect of movies and stuff like that. So I was a little bit confused with that, but this movie doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's extremely campy, at times ridiculous, very visually pleasing, and just all around a great time. It's a great roller coaster of emotions. There's a ton of hidden visuals and like messages that you can grab from this, like a ton of stuff. I mean, obviously the main thing is it's like a queer perspective on sexuality and like awakening, understanding yourself, sort of how you approach trauma and how you're willing to grow from it and how you're willing to maybe not make it so much of um oh my gosh, maybe not I feel like saying not dwell or linger on it too much is crazy, but like um yeah, just sort of helping people understand and bring them into your world and stuff, and being able to communicate and stuff like that. I think that's like the biggest part of this movie is sexuality. That's the biggest part. But honestly, while it was a majority of like the messaging, honestly, I just had a ton of fun. Like visually, this movie was a ton of fun. There's like a whole GoPro like POV sequence of Little Death going and killing like a ton of people in a cabin lounge and stuff. There's like a scene because like to add on to the queer elements of it, the Little Death was a camper that was sort of like a cross dresser, didn't really feel like a boy or a girl. I think born a male, and then all like the other boys teased him and stuff whenever he wore a dress, and then eventually like they drowned him and he died or something like that. And there's actually a really funny, oh my god, a chubby light skinned comedian with the glasses and like I was gonna say like receding hairline. That's like actually fucked up. Dude, I wish I do. Oh my gosh. Let me see. I don't know any people by the names in this movie. I don't know any people by the names of this movie. Jesus Christ! But there actually was a few cameos from like comedians. I think like two or three in this movie, and they were pretty funny, dude. Honestly, this movie was unapologetically fun, and like all of the comedy I think landed for me. I think there might have been a few like eye roll moments or something like that, or like visual gags that I was like whatever about. But for the most part, it was oh my gosh, it was a deeply unserious movie with a deep rooted message, and I think like that's the way I kind of want it, you know what I mean? I want there to be some substance if I want to look for it, but honestly this movie didn't I keep saying didn't take itself seriously, but it's just because it feels like the people who worked on this movie had a ton of fun and didn't really let a lot of things get into the way of their creativity. Now, in a world where everybody is seemingly using AI to just get shit out there and like, oh, it's a tool. I'm just getting ideas and whatever sticks to the wall, I'm gonna work. No, just do stuff, man. Just work on stuff. Just have ideas. Just be ready to fail. Just like failing is such an important part of everything. Doing something shittily is how you learn to do it well. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this movie was so refreshing. Now I went to go see it with a friend of mine. Shout out Philip. We go and every once in a while we'll go watch like a late night movie or we'll go catch a movie together. He's an A-lister. I'm a Regal member. I mean, like, could it be any more obvious? You feel me? But no, sometimes we'll go out and catch a movie together. And this one, we were just like, it was either we were going to go smoke at the park somewhere or we were going to catch this movie. And this was like a limited release for a while. It was only out in a few theaters. And I think tomorrow, August 21st, it's going to actually have a wider release. So I definitely recommend checking it out. Actually, it's Wednesdays I'm filming this. So, I mean, it's Thursdays I'm filming this. So tomorrow it's going to be out and stuff. But, or I guess today it's gonna be out. Yeah, because I'm filming this the day before and it's getting released tomorrow. So definitely, if you get a chance to watch Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, check it out. Do not Google teenage sex. I definitely got put on a list because I looked that up and like quickly searched it up and pressed enter instead of it. I am now under a list. I'm legally obligated to let you know. Okay, no. But really, honestly, this movie was a great time. There was a lot of really funny moments. One thing that I thought like was like really funny, like a little gag that I call at the time, was a lot of the food. Now, since from the beginning of the movie, from Chris like getting to the campgrounds that like Billy lives in to all the time that they spent together, a lot of food was consumed. At the beginning, she went and she stopped at like a gas station and she bought like a shit ton of candy. And then when they actually got there and got to discussing before like they got high and like experienced each other's body and stuff, they had a shit ton of KFC. I mean, like a shit ton of KFC. Like a bucket is enough for like two women, two men, three men, maybe, or something like that. Like what? It's like 16, 20 pieces or something like that. 12, 15. 20, 30. I don't know, but like it's a fair amount of chicken for two people. But she got like two giant buckets and like was like spilling them all out on the table. And I was like, dude, this is insane. This is like a mukbang situation. And then later on in the movie, they like explored each other's bodies a bit. And Chris was a little bit uncomfortable. She couldn't necessarily get all the way there yet. And so Billy like explained to her like, that's super great. We don't have to like go into that. We can be comfortable another way. And they cuts to them in just an absolute sea of candy wrappers, like Jolly Ranchers, like those like grandma strawberry, like, you know, candies that you see, the like the butterscotch, like just a fucking shit ton of wrappers on the floor, Skittles and all that. Like it's crazy. And there's even a cut later into the movie where like they're like panning to the whole they're panning to the whole lodge and stuff like that. And there's like a chandelier made out of candy wrappers. And then at the end, they even, while they're all bloodied up and they're done with like the movie, that they like that little death sort of made into a reality and like released out into the world as a movie or whatever. They like go into the gas station to sort of bring it back to like a place of reality, I guess. And they're like walking around bloody, and Chris is like talking about, oh dude, like Billy, I don't even know if you know about these candies because you're so old and shit, but these are the shit. And then they go and pick them out, pans out, and then it's like end of the movie, happily ever after, sort of. I mean, definitely not happily ever after, you know what I mean? But definitely, the after effects are like them coming to terms with everything that fucking happened and shit. Probably not talking to the big execs about how the movie is real life or not. Maybe there are no real execs. I don't even know, because apparently, like, the movie was going to shit and stuff, but also the movie just lives in itself. So there is no real you know what I mean? There are no execs. The like Little Death makes the movies himself or themselves, because they are like an androgynous sort of just skin of like vengeance. And like they, I don't know, I'm sure there's like a lot of what Little Death represents and stuff, but in the movie just like an antagonistic source of vengefulness. And so I can't recommend this movie enough. It's insanely fun. And like, I guess if you're homophobic, don't check it out, because like there's a ton of queer shit in it. But even still, dude, like, fucking ease up a bit. It's a sick slasher, you know what I mean? There's a ton of sick comedy elements into it. There's a ton of like visual elements that I just make it like very much so pleasing. It was a movie I didn't check my watch in, you know what I mean? If you know me, like an hour and 15 into a movie, if it really doesn't grab me and stuff, I will feel time. I'm like a rooster, you know what I mean? Like roosters just naturally like what do they do? They crow? Wait, what the fuck? What the fuck do roosters do at dawn or whatever? They've got that circadian clock in them that makes them like caw or oh my god, I don't know what the word is, but they make that fucking noise at dawn or whatever. Like I've got that for an hour and 15 minutes of a movie, dog. Like I feel like I have a good sense of like, all right, dude, it's been like an hour and some time. Like, where are we? You know what I mean? How much time do we have left? Sort of what's the situation? And that's very much so on me, but did not happen at this movie, honestly. Like, I think a friend, like my friend that I was watching it with, left like just before it started or whatever, or like as it was starting, and like they didn't even miss much. It was very much so. Ironically enough, dude, Philip, I saw you post the Shining on your letterbox. Honestly, the beginning of it was very much so visually like the family getting to the hotel or whatever, you know what I mean, where they stayed in The Shining, like the super cold landscape elements, the isolating like bleak sort of winter and trees, and very vast green landscape that sort of turns I was gonna say bittersweet, but bleak. Bleak is probably the best word that I can describe it. Bleak and cold. Yeah, and then it just, I mean, the movie just jumps like immediately into campiness, but not without the first like initial sort of discussion and like slight comedy jabs to Chris explaining sort of her sexuality and why she's super passionate about the movie, sort of where she's coming from, and Billy also sort of hinting and sort of like familiarizing herself with Chris before she eventually like ends up spilling the beans that like you're here to work on this movie, but really this movie is here to work on you, and you're gonna sort of have to deal with that. And a lot, I'm like, now as I'm saying it out loud, that might even be like a metaphor for like creativity and sort of like you might not even know what you're gonna make, and like it's sort of out there and you just sort of have to find your way to it, you know what I mean? Like even just making that connection alone is like really brilliant and stuff. Like this movie is fun. This movie is fun. This movie has a fair amount of substance to it. This movie is really fucking enjoyable. I'm pretty sure I gave it like a 4 stars or something like that on Letterboxd. I was initially thinking something like I came out of it and immediately was like 5 stars, and then a few days later I was like maybe 3.5 stars because like now that I'm thinking about it, like it takes a while to get to the slasher elements, but now like I'm just like no, this is a solid 4 star. Like my mind changes a lot. I think like replayability and stuff. I'm always sort of tainted by. I'm always like, do I want to watch it again? Do I want to go through the lengths of it again? Because there's so many movies to watch, and rewatching a movie, you know what I mean? That like I should really want to rewatch a movie. I shouldn't just rewatch a bunch of shitty movies just cause. Even though I do end up doing that anyways. Some of my favorite movies are shitty, but. Teenage Sex and Death and Cat Miasma, an incredibly fun and unapologetically campy movie that takes its readers or takes its viewers for a ride, has them enjoy like a great time, and like, yeah, I really don't know what else to say to recommend this movie. I'm sure my friend Philip could say like a thousand more things that I didn't touch on, and vice versa. But like, just watch it. It's gonna be in theaters today. You know when this movie comes out, when this review comes out, discussion comes out. I should stop saying reviews because like I don't want people to think that like I'm like giving these because I am giving them a score and stuff like that, but like I acknowledge that like it's not really sound or anything like that. Like none of what I say in the movies are super concrete because I take a lot of time to grow with movies and stuff like that. And the more I watch movies, the more like it contextualizes other ones, and like I see more patterns, and like I'm like okay cool, like this makes sense. Or like oh yeah, this is how this movie did that differently. It's a fun trip. It's a fun trip. It's great. Please go watch it. All right, that does it for this video. I'll talk to you guys on the next one. See ya. Oh my god, when have I ever done that? What the fuck?